morning. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Over the years, my mom was a big supporter and follower of Phyllis Schlafly, and I was too while I was raising my children. She certainly was a trailblazer for women in the conservative movement, and I'm so glad to see her legacy continuing through the Eagle Forum. So, like she said, I'm from her, I represent the Illinois 15 rural district. My husband and I have been married for 43 years. We're farmers. We raise corn, cattle, and kids. We have 7 children. We just welcomed our 20th grandchild. So when I was asked to run, actually it was an older gentleman, Bill Montgomery. He's the one that encouraged Charlie Kirk from Turning Point to, kind of got him started. And when Bill was encouraging me, I said to him, I was kind of taken aback, and I said, well, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a politician. And he said, Mary, you represent the family, and the family is the foundation of our culture. And you represent agriculture and small business, and that's the foundation of our economy. And so, I prayed about it, and with my husband decided to run. So this is my second term, and like Ann said, I ran against an incumbent who I would say confidently was the most popular member of Congress. He had one of the most liberal voting records, representing one of the most conservative districts in the United States. And I believe that we should be supporting the most conservative candidate that's electable. And I pretty much ran on the theme that he didn't match the district. And I won by a landslide. Nobody thought I could win. But I stepped out in faith. I had peace the whole time, and here I am. My first and second committee choice was agriculture, and then education and workforce. I've got a degree in business and then one in education, and I spent some time in the public school, and one day I had an epiphany that our children didn't belong there. And my husband and I started home educating our children. And so our oldest daughter is 40. And back then, we didn't take our children out because we were worried about what they were teaching, that our kids were going to go off the deep end, whatever. The reason we took our children out was because of what was missing. And people need to consider that when they're choosing, how they're going to educate their children. I do want to say that all of our grandchildren they're all being homeschooled. One family, their 6th child had Down syndrome and had health problems, so they transitioned to a classical Christian school, which is fantastic. But all of our grandchildren are getting quality Christian education, but with a biblical worldview. So it's just pretty amazing that God would take me from the farm and from homeschooling and drop me off here. But I'm unashamed of our Judeo-Christian values, and I want to call people back to that, and also back to God, and to mourn over our sins. And we sing in our patriotic song, God shed his grace on thee, and truly God has shed his grace on our country. And he's a God who delights in showing mercy, and I'm a recipient of that mercy. I say with Peter that I proclaim the excellencies of him who called me out of darkness into his marvelous light. He's a God who shows mercy and has bestowed that on our country, but he's also a God who will not strive with man forever. And we are in deep trouble, and our problems are way deeper than political. So God sent me out here, obviously, to do legislative work, but also to proclaim our Judeo-Christian values. And so on the Ag Committee, I never call it the Green New Deal. People, this is the green bad deal that's being foisted on us. It's sham science. It's like the World Economic Forum and all these globalists that are using this to take control of the food industry. Once they control food, people, they control us. So, I'm on the ag committee. Farmers are the great conservationists. My husband and I are actually conservation farmers. We don't believe in the green bad deal, but we're conservation farmers. We want clean air. We want clean water. But when they tell you, our goal is net zero carbon, what they mean is that we're going to cease to exist. Farmers like carbon. When you have a greenhouse, they pump carbon CO2 into the greenhouse, and we actually like higher levels of carbon. And the corn crop, my husband figured up, takes I don't know how many trillion pounds of carbon out of the air, but there's a cycle called photosynthesis. And my husband did a podcast. He's actually in the legislature in Illinois now, and he's standing against the same things in Illinois. They're trying to put a carbon capture pipeline under the ground from Nebraska through Iowa and then through our district in Illinois. But he was talking about the carbon capture and photosynthesis, and he literally had people mocking him, saying he was lying and there's no such thing as photosynthesis. So
Science denies.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm grateful to be on the Ag Committee. I feel like I'm able to bring a level of expertise and experience to that committee and stand against the sham science that we see trying to be foisted on our ag policies. I don't know how many of you have been following what's going on in the Netherlands in agriculture, but one way they control people is regulation. And they're wanting to tax nitrogen, or limit nitrogen. You have to have nitrogen to grow things. They want to tax methane gas. They literally, people, it's not a joke, they want us to eat bugs. And my mantra is eat beef, not bugs. But farmers built our nation, and we need to support the family farm. We're seeing consolidation in every industry, but it's also in agriculture. I don't know how many of you know that 80% of the protein processed in our country is processed by only 4 processors, and 2 of them are foreign owned. This is a national security problem. And when this was, in the past, we never had this problem. When we want to bring our beef in to be processed, we are having to sign up and wait a year now for beef processing. So we really have issues in ag, and I'm so grateful to support the family farm on the Ag Committee. Farmers built our nation. In fact, many of the founding fathers were farmers. Thomas Jefferson said that farmers are the most valuable citizens. They are the most vigorous, the most independent, virtuous, and they are tied to their country and wedded to its liberty and interest by the most lasting bonds. Of course, Abraham Lincoln was raised on a farm in Illinois, and that farm is actually in my county. His mom, Sarah Bush Lincoln, and Thomas Lincoln settled there. Today, farmers are still the backbone of America. The farm is a great place to raise children, and it's still the value of hard work and appreciation for God's creation. But also, the other committee I'm on is Education and Workforce, and miraculously, I've been named the vice chairwoman of that committee, a homeschool mom. How about that? And then the family. The family is on full frontal attack today. I recently started the Congressional Family Caucus to stand up for all things family. And I just appreciate being able to work with Eagle Forum and you all on building. This is the fundamental building block of any healthy society, actually. The natural family is under a vicious, full frontal attack like never before by the radical left. Like all Marxist regimes throughout history, they realize that the path to tearing down America starts with the family. I wholeheartedly believe that the federal government has a compelling interest to use policy to promote strong families. And like Ann said, my opponent voted for the Disrespecting Marriage Act, and I think we need to watch the votes of our elected representatives. Our government, we're not being ruled by a dictator or a king. This is a representative government, and the power is with you, the people. And I want to encourage you how important local politics are, and get involved on a local level. When I read the book of Nehemiah, I kind of think that's a picture of local politics at work. But anyway, we need to stand up for the family. John Adams said, our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people, and is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. Well, how are we going to have a moral and religious people? It is the family, is the vehicle to transmit those values and our faith. So I've had all kinds of legislation. My first bill is called the Protecting Women and Children, or Protecting Our Daughters Act, and it's to clarify that Title IX is intended to, when they say sex in Title IX, the intention is that it's biological sex and not sexual identity, and to stand against this ridiculous idea that you can change your gender, and to basically destroy the opportunities that Title IX was created to implement for our girls and women in athletics and education. So. I'm also a very strong supporter of pro-life, all pro-life legislation. I've introduced many myself, including Protecting Life on College Campus Act, which would cut off all federal funding to any colleges or universities that are either directly or indirectly providing the chemical abortion pill. And I joined Representative Doug LaMalfa this spring in two bills that protect children from life-altering gender mutilation surgeries. Yeah, such a shame. Diana Harshbarger, my good friend from Tennessee, she's my best friend in Congress. She introduced the Life.gov Act that requires the Department of Health and Human Services to provide online resources for women in crisis pregnancies. And then yesterday, I joined Representative Ogles in introducing the Ending Chemical Abortions Act to prohibit dangerous drugs from being distributed that kill not only unborn children, but seriously endanger the life of the mother. So as parents, God's granted us the awesome responsibility of raising our children in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, and preparing them to one day lead their own families. Strong nations start with strong families. To restore a nation, it must start in the home. And God's left us on earth for such a time as this. Number one, to disciple the nations, to proclaim the gospel, and to overcome evil with good. I think people are becoming discouraged. They think things don't matter, but things always matter to God. There's, number one, a whole heavenly host that is worshiping God when we do the right thing and when we're discipling the nations and overcoming evil with good. And also, we can't quit. It's just not an option. We want our children and grandchildren to remain free and to have access to the wonderful opportunities that we've all had to pursue the American dream. So I get up every day. I'm very encouraged. You can ask some of my staff. I don't get down in the dumps every now and then, not very often, because I inform myself on the macro, but then I focus on what's in front of me. And I want to encourage you all. You all have your own gift to bring to the battle between good and evil. You may have money, time, experiences. You'll all have a realm of influence. And I want to encourage you, while you inform yourself on the disasters going on, and it's alarming and the pace that things are happening, that we need to focus on the opportunities in front of us. And you give me hope to see you all here. I'm thrilled to see young people here. We always brought our children to conferences too, and I think it's great. And thank you so much for the opportunity to share. Take